Hey BookTube, Chelsea the Reading Outlaw here to do a new tag video for you guys. This is a very recently invented tag by my darling friend Claire over at Claire Russo. This is the Bookish Witch Tag. There are 6 questions and then I'm going to tag a couple of people to do this. This is all about our favorite witchy books, witchy characters, witchy settings and tropes and all of those things. So given that it's October and given that I am a huge witch fan, I thought this was the perfect tag, plus Claire tagged me in it. So I'm always ready to do tags of friends. So the very first question is, hop on your broomstick and pick your favorite witchy location or favorite witchy setting. This is, I'm going to go with like a very generalized kind of setting. I prefer my witches of the like semi-crumbling Northeastern American variety. I'm thinking specifically of like the house in Practical Magic, which is this kind of like Cape Cod, Martha's Vineyard-y, slightly decrepit, older Victorian style house that's like out kind of almost on like a cliff or a bluff, and it's windswept and there are oceans, and it's very almost like kind of coldly ethereal, but also there are witches. So that is like not necessarily a specific setting, although I will use Practical Magic to be like my example. This is a lot of the Stephen King-y horror type stuff falls into this category. So those are my favorite kind of like witchy settings, or my favorite settings for witches. I prefer like hedge witches and more kind of like green witches and plant witches, and kind of that gets more into like the sociological and historical like actual roots of witches. So that's my particular flavor. So I'm gonna have to pick the Practical Magic house, which if you've not read Practical Magic or seen the movie, I highly recommend that you go and see the movie and pick up the book by Alice Hoffman. It is the story of Sally and Jillian, 2 sisters separated by distance, but by little else, who are called to help one another. Specifically, Sally is called to help Jillian when some relationships in her life start to go sour. The second question is, whip out your wand and pick your favorite magical system. This, for me, has to be the kind of magical system that is in Love, Sugar, Magic by Anna Mariano. We did a podcast episode for this for Not Now I'm Reading, so I will link that down below. But this is essentially a magical system in which the entire family is able to bake magic into baked goods, and it's a combination of like the right ingredients, magical intention, and following like the recipe imbued with just like that extra certain kind of love magic that comes with food. There's something about the combination of food and love and the intertwining and the preparation of those things that turns like the metaphorical magic that we talk about into actual magic that I really thoroughly enjoy. Plus, if you've not read the Love, Sugar, Magic series by Anna Mariano, they are such adorable middle grade witch books that I only wish I'd had when I was an actual like middle grade witch. Question 3 is, gather up your magical herbs and occult ingredients and name some of your favorite witch tropes. I've broken this category down into basically like 3 examples. The first one is the example of Granny Weatherwax, who we first meet in Equal Rights, which is a Discworld novel by Terry Pratchett. I'm not huge overall with the Discworld books. I find all of them very hit or miss, but I love Granny Weatherwax. So Granny Weatherwax represents this trope of the kind of older, no-nonsense, practical, real-life witch who practices her magic largely within like this domestic sphere. Granny Weatherwax is also kind of like the head or the leader of the witches, and so there's also this authority built into her, and this like maternal or matrilineal authority that again goes back to what I think are some of like the historical roots of witchcraft throughout the world. So I really appreciate, plus there's just almost kind of like a gruff sass to this kind of witch that seems very much so like future goals in terms of how I would like to be when I am an old lady. The second trope that I absolutely love in my witch books is queer witches. I love queer witches. This is Labyrinth Lost by Zoraida Cordova. The second book in the series is also already out. I just have not picked it up yet. Labyrinth Lost is the story of Alex, who's a bruja who's just getting ready to come of age and come into her powers. And on the day that that is supposed to happen, she gets frustrated and she wishes her magic away, but the magic gets twisted and she ends up wishing away her entire family instead. Alex is also bisexual, and there is a female-female relationship in this book that is absolutely adorable. I think it is very hard to separate the history of queerness from the history of witchcraft, especially when it comes to queer women and witchcraft and the way society treated queer women and the way that ties up with accusations of witchcraft. If you guys can tell, I think sorry Claire, I think I'm going slightly more like socio-historical with these witches than I'm like fun Harry Potter fantasy witches, which like I also love. Harry Potter's not in this book because I just feel like Harry Potter's a given. You don't need one more person to tell you to go read Harry Potter if you haven't already. Yeah, but then my last favorite trope, so speaking of Harry Potter, is academics. Oh, Discovery of Witches. Oh, these books, friends. I have all of these books in a hardback box set, except for the fourth one. Don't have that one yet. I haven't actually read that one. I've only read the first three. These books are, admittedly, Twilight fan fiction, kind of, all grown up. So it's about a female witch named Diana Bishop, who is descendant from a Salem witch, and Matthew Claremont, who is a vampire, and their love and their relationship and the tumultuous, overarching, dramatic arc of their time together covers the span of 3, now 4 books. But this is my favorite witch trope, and that it is like academia witches. I also really love this book because Diana's aunts in this book are also a lesbian couple who are very much so kind of like what I was talking about, like that more domesticated hedge witch, like green thumb sphere of powers and control, which is a really cool like Venn diagram overlap, because then we get the academia in this book. My favorite part of the Discovery of Witches is the first maybe like 150 to 200 pages where we're hanging out in the Bodleian in the Oxford Library, and Diana is like talking about the process of doing her research and making tea, and like it's all of that like super awesome academic stuff that I just love reading about in my fiction. There's always been something really, really interesting to me about the different taxonomical ways that you can study magic. There's something that is very appealing to like a type 2, type A list maker like myself, who really enjoys categorization and quantification and being able to make things, basically to boil things down to the level of putting them on flashcards. And there's an aspect of witchcraft that does that overlaps well with watching academics do what they do. So that is the last trope in this like particular question that is my favorite for witch books. Question 4 is open a grimoire and pick a magical book. I was a little unsure like what this question meant, if it just meant like your favorite magical book or if it meant like an actual book of magic that exists like in another fictional world. Turns out it's the second one. So I'm going to pick Book, which is of course Winifred Sanderson's spellbook from Hocus Pocus. This is a spellbook that has been made from the flesh of dead men and from one man's eye, and it contains all of the deliciously evil spells, including the youth spell that the Sanderson sisters need to accomplish the plot of Hocus Pocus. This is just always the relationship between Winifred Sanderson and the Book of the Dead are like, so it's just the way that she loves the book because of what the book contains is just like so awesome to me. Yes, it's like an evil book and it is made of the skin of human flesh. Plus history of bookbinding. It's sometimes truth is stranger than fiction, friends. But that's my answer to question 4. Question 5 is stir the bubbling cauldron and pick your favorite witch like snacks or beverages. So my first answer to this question, or the first thing that popped into my head anyway, was butterbeer, but I don't really actually like butterscotch all that much, and I don't know if I would actually like the taste of butterbeer. So I pulled back a little bit from the fantasy world, and I decided that essentially my 2 choices were either going to be hazelnut coffee with sugar, black, because that is one of my go-to just kind of everyday drinks, coffee drinks when I'm working my own magic. Hey. And then also Earl Grey tea. Earl Grey tea is something that I used to drink all the time in school because I would drink it like throughout the day. And we had a lot of tea drinkers in the house that I lived in, so there was always some Earl Grey tea like hanging around. There's something about Earl Grey tea to me that is very evocative of like academia because of that like connection. So the last question is kind of a question, kind of not. It is finding your familiar. So you can either name your favorite fictional magical creature, or you can like give your real life pet some on-time screen time. So this is Penny. This is my IRL familiar, I guess. This is my little hobgoblin. She is like 11 years old. She does not like being on camera. She does not really like being picked up. She doesn't like a lot of things. She's very grumpy, but in that way she does very much so feel like my dog. But She was also very, very cute. She's a Cocker Spaniel. She's getting on in her years. She's getting a little scruffy. She needs a haircut. But of course, I could not give that adorable face some on-camera screen time. So that's my magical familiar. The next question is to tag a bunch of people that you would like to see do this video. So I have 4 people tagged. Winks from Winks and Ink. I know she's on a little bit of a hiatus right now while she deals with some medical stuff, but I also know that she is like an IRL witchy person, so I would love to see her answers to this video. After that, we have Elizabeth from Books and Pieces, who is one of my all-time forever favorites and also pretty much a person I always tag when it comes to do these videos. And then I would also like to see Sylvia from Wish Fulfillment do this, and Mel from Mel to the Any. I would love to see answers from those 2 ladies. And I think that the more we can get this tag going, especially in the month of October, the better. So those are my answers for the Bookish Witch Tag. Thank you so much, Claire, for tagging me. I will, of course, link her video as well as all of the questions down below. Let me know your answers. Let me know if you end up doing this tag video so that I can go watch and we can spread around all the delicious witchy goodness. Yeah, otherwise, friends, hit the like button, hit subscribe. If you have it in your heart to share this channel, I would really, really appreciate it. I am still shooting for the goal of 3,000 subscribers by the time I hit 31 in November. So fingers crossed. I would really, really love your help with that if you feel inclined. Otherwise, come talk to me. Come leave me a comment or an emoji. Let's talk books on the internet. And until next time, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and have happy reading. Bye.